So, good morning to everyone. Today we are going to discussing the adrenal gland. So, adrenal gland, there will be two adrenal glands are present in human body, either side of the top of the kidneys. So, each one present on the above the kidney. So, the gland is composed of two types of tissues. The adrenal gland, the centrally located tissue is called adrenal medulla, and outside lines is called adrenal cortex. So, under production of hormones by the adrenal cortex alters the carbohydrates metabolism, causing acute weakness and fatigue, leading to a disease called Addison's disease. So, this is very, very important in examination level. So, under production of hormones by the adrenal cortex alters carbohydrate metabolism. So, due to defect of carbohydrate metabolism, there will be acute weakness and fatigue. Fatigue means alasata. Weakness and fatigue, leading to a disease called Addison's disease. So, now let us discuss so here this picture is indicate that so this is the kidney. On top of the kidney, adrenal gland is present, and when we take the this here and this diagram, there will be a center red color portion is called medulla, and outer yellow color portion is cortex. So each adrenal gland have two parts: outer adrenal cortex, inner adrenal medulla. So adrenal cortex secrete some hormones, and as well as adrenal medulla also secrete hormones. So let us discuss about here. First of all, adrenal medulla. So which is located at the center portion of the adrenal gland. So which secrete two hormones, called adrenaline or epinephrine. Adrenaline or epinephrine, and noradrenaline, also called norepinephrine. So these are commonly called catecholamines. Catecholamines. Adrenaline and noradrenaline are rapidly secretes in response to stress of any kind during emergency situations, are called emergency hormones or hormones of fight or flight. So adrenaline and noradrenaline both are very, very important, which they secrete from the medulla adrenal medulla of adrenal gland. So They are called emergency hormones or hormones of fight and flight. So these hormones increase alertness, pupillar dilation, piloerection, sweating. So piloerection means raising of hairs. And these hormones increases alertness, pupillary dilation means కనుపాప పెద్దగా చేయడం, wideness of pupil, and sweating. Both the hormones increases the heartbeat, the strength of a heart contraction, the rate of respiration, and catecholamines also stimulate the breakdown of glycogen, resulting in the an increased concentration of glucose in blood. In addition to, they also stimulate the breakdown of lipids and proteins. So when adrenal medulla should play major role, not only control the balance, that is emotions, sweating, dilation of pupil, as well as pylori erection, and but also they participate in the increasing the concentration of glucose, and also they are responsible to respiration, heartbeat, and it increases the blood glucose level, and also they responsible to breakdown of the lipids and proteins. Now let us go to the adrenal cortex. Adrenal cortex. So adrenal cortex, when you take this is the location of the adrenal cortex is outside of the adrenal gland, peripheral region. It is divided into three layers called zona reticularis, zona fasciculata, zona glomerulosa. So when we see this previous the diagram, when you see this is outer cortex of the adrenal gland, it has three layers, and when you see this, so these three layers. So imagine inside there will be a cortex of adrenal gland. So this is the cortex. Sorry, medulla. This one is the medulla, and now the pink what we drawn three layers are adrenal cortex. So the inner one is called zona reticularis. Second one is called zona fasciculata. Outer one is called zona glomerulosa. The adrenal cortex secrete many hormones, commonly as corticoids. The corticoids, which are involved in the carbohydrate metabolism, means digestion of carbohydrates, called glucocorticoids. In our body, cortisol is the main glucocorticoid. So, these corticoids, which regulate the balance of water and electrolytes in our body, are called mineralocorticoids. Another hormone which is secreted by the cortex is called aldosterone. This maintain the mineralocorticoids in our body. So totally, we can see that cortex secrete here mainly cortisol and aldosterone. Cortisol and aldosterone. These two hormones, cortisol and aldosterone. both. So when we take the glucocorticoids stimulate gluconeogenesis, lipolysis, proteolysis. Means these glucocorticoids helps to the stimulate the gluconeogenesis, means increases the glucose, lipolysis, breakdown of the lipids, proteolysis, breakdown of the proteins. So and also they inhibit cellular uptake and utilization of amino acids. Cortisol is also involved in maintaining the cardiovascular system as well as the kidney functions. So glucocorticoids, particularly cortisol, produces anti-inflammatory reactions, suppresses the immune response. Cortisol stimulates the RBC production, and aldosterone acts mainly at the renal tubules, stimulate the reabsorption of sodium, water, and excretion of K plus ions, phosphate ions. Thus, aldosterone helps in the maintenance of electrolytes. So, the body fluid volume, osmotic pressure, blood pressure, small amount of androgenic steroids are also secreted by the adrenal cortex, which play a major role in the growth of axial hair, pubic hair, facial hair during puberty. So when we see that clearly, the adrenal gland, which has two parts, outer cortex, inner medulla. So outer cortex secrete two hormones, and inner medulla secrete two hormones. So mainly, if you take the medulla, it is adrenaline and nor. So about this is about adrenal gland. Now let us go to the pancreas. So when you take the pancreas, so it is a mixed gland. Pancreas, it is a, so pancreas it is called a mixed gland because of half of the portion belongs to digestive system, rest of the portion belongs to endocrine system. So pancreas, if you see that which opens in the small intestine region, so pancreas which is present in left side. So pancreas, when you see this pancreas, and half of the portion is belongs to digestive system, rest of the portion to endocrine system. That is the reason pancreas is called a mixed gland. Pancreas is called a mixed gland. So pancreas is a composite gland which acts both exocrine and endocrine. So exocrine is belongs to digestive system. Endocrine gland belong. So already we know studying that at present. Endocrine pancreas consists of islets of Langerhans, and there are about 1.2 million islets of Langerhans in a normal human pancreas, representing only 2 to 2% of the pancreatic tissue. So the two main types of cells in the islets of Langerhans are called alpha cells, beta cells. Alpha cells, beta cells. So alpha cells secrete a hormone called glucagon, while beta cells secrete a insulin. Alpha secrete glucagon hormone, so beta cells secrete insulin. So glucagon is responsible mainly to convert the excessive, that is glucose into, sorry, glycogen into glucose. Let us see that glucagon is a peptide hormone. It play an important role to maintaining the normal blood glucose level. So glucagon acts mainly on the liver cells, hepatocytes, and stimulate the glycogenolysis. Glycogenolysis means, so it whenever in our body glucose level is insufficient or less, the glycogen is converted into glucose. That is called glycogenolysis. Glycogenolysis means the breakdown of the glycogen into glucose. That is called hyperglycemia. Hyperglycemia. In addition to this, hormone stimulate the process of gluconeogenesis, which also contribute to hyperglycemia. So glucagon reduces the cellular glucose uptake and utilization. Thus, glucagon is a hyperglycemic hormone. So, because of it reduces the glucose level, and it is also reduces the cellular glucose uptake and utilization. So, the glucagon is called a hyperglycemic hormone. If you take next another hormone which is secreted by the beta cells, that is insulin. So when you see here, insulin is a peptide hormone which play a major role in the regulation of glucose homeostasis, means keeping in the balance of glucose level. So insulin acts mainly on hepatocytes and adipocytes, enhance the cellular glucose level, and So, so there is a rapid movement of glucose from blood to hepatocytes. The adipocytes resulting in the decreased blood glucose level, hypoglycemia. So insulin also stimulates the conversion of glucose to glycogen. That is glycogenesis. Glycogenesis in the target cells. Mainly, main function of insulin is to convert the excessive glucose into glycogen. That is you have to keep in your mind. In the target cells, the glucose homeostasis in blood thus maintained jointly by two insulin and glucagon. So insulin convert the excessive glucose into glycogen. Glucagon convert the glycogen into glucose when even in our body glucose level is decreases. So then prolonged hyperglycemia leads to complex disorder called diabetes mellitus. So in the glucose level is increases if the insulin hormone is secreted insufficient or low quantity. If the insulin is secreted low level or small amount, so it leads to prolonged hyperglycemia. Hyper means more, glycemia means glucose. If the glucose level increases in the blood, that is called diabetes mellitus. Diabetes mellitus, which is associated with the loss of glucose through urine and formation of harmful compounds known as ketone bodies. So diabetic patients are successfully treated with insulin therapy.